Good noon, everybody. Pips in it. So there you go. It's Wednesday edition of Magical Monday. So it's also a Magical Wednesday. A Magical Monday Wednesday. Wednesday Monday. And
it's
a happy
witchy
new moon.
Wednesday. Witchy Wednesday.
A witchy Wednesday version of Magical Monday. So if you're joining us, oh my goodness, somebody must have, because they've already super chatted. They've super chatted. Let's see who's here. Oh, goodness gracious me.
My.
Oh,
Okay.
my, oh, my, oh, my. All right, we're going to have to scroll to the top because I think we've got an absolute ton of peeps here. All right. Hello, Logan. Hello, Gilda. Hello, Yoff. Hello, Sean. Hello, Nicole. Hello, Savannah. Hello, Peggy. Hello, Wendy. Hello, Susan. Hello, Angeline brackets Helena Rose. Oh, you changed your name. Oh, well, okay. Hello. Hello, Shayna. Hello. Oh, thank you, Yoff, for the super chat. That's awesome. And is it book club today if we get 10 super chats? Yes, it is, because that's exactly what I was going to say. And we have Laura of the North also saying good morning. So welcome one, welcome all, and welcome to Witchy Wednesday version of Magical Monday. And yes, we will tonight do whatever chapter we're up to in... You know, we forgot to pick up the other copy of that.
I know.
Maybe later if we go out.
The Sea Priestess.
The Sea Priestess. It's actually a darn good yarn. I'm enjoying it. I don't know about you guys.
We left off on page 27 here.
Yes, you put a mark where we're. Am I? I said with a sudden revulsion of feeling at being vamped. More on that later. So yes, we will be continuing with Dion Fortune's Sea Priestess this evening, and it's getting interesting. It really is. This woman who is purportedly older than time itself. Tell your friends, Morgan Le Fay or whatever her name is. So, thank you for the super chat. Oh, Susan, thank you for the super chat. This is awesome.
All right.
So 8 to go. There you go, people.
And something's going on there. That's probably Susan.
That's Susan's, yes. Because just as I was saying thank you, she's making the lights flash. There's probably a satellite delay around here somewhere. Tell your friends. Anyway.
Righty-ho then.
I should shut up and let you get on with your stuff.
For those interested in the astrological things happening, we have new moon today in Cancer. And obviously the sun moved into Cancer on solstice a few days ago. And there's a lot of things kind of happening. First of all, I would like to say that I saw a lot of people saying that they don't usually notice when the sun changes signs. But for some reason, an awful lot of people noticed. They felt the energy shift from Gemini into Cancer. And part of that is because it was accompanied by Jupiter, the great expander, the magnifier, the benefic. So today we have the new moon in Cancer at 4 degrees, which is why we have the Emperor.
He's number 4.
So he's number 4. He brings foundation and stability and pragmatism and like ancient wisdom. And the other 4 is 13, which reduces to 4, the death card. So change and renewal, wipe the slate clean, start over kind of energy. You know, the king is dead, long live the king.
Literally. That's what's going on this card.
So what is happening? What is actually happening? All right. Well, we know that 4 degrees, 4 represents that kind of foundational energy, right? The 4 elements. So 4 degrees is kind of a nice
kind of
number of, cooperation times 2 kind of thing. But we do also know that when the moon is new, it's in the same sign as the sun.
Well, we do.
So we have
hopefully you do too.
Both luminaries in Cancer. And the energy of Jupiter is still very prevalent in this kind of configuration because we have Jupiter at 3 degrees.
It's almost conjunct, isn't it?
The sun is at 4 degrees. And then the moon is also at 4 degrees Cancer. So they are definitely all conjunct. They are all acting as one.
Jupiter, Sun, and Moon, eh?
We have, let's light things up and show what's going on, Sun. Let's take this Cancerian energy that's ruled by the Moon and really kind of look at how we're feeling about things. And then Jupiter is saying, well, I'm going to magnify that energy. I'm going to magnify what the light's shining on. I'm going to magnify those feelings. So Cancer is a cardinal sign.
That it is.
And over in Aries, Saturn is 1 degree, Neptune is 2 degrees Aries. So this is forming a square.
Oh dear.
So this, let me shine a light on how you feel, and we'll expand on that, is having to cope with or reconcile. Dream big, you can break all the boundaries. No, nothing is real. You can break no boundaries.
There are no
sorry,
boundaries.
Everything is real. Everything is a reality, and you cannot break those boundaries, Saturn. Dream big because there are no boundaries, Neptune, is having this opposite
push me, pull you.
Square.
Push me, pull me.
You know, like I've run into the
Can't
corner of the
even do
table and it hurts, with the new moon, Sun, and Jupiter. Also, there's something in astrology that is a lesser aspect, so I don't teach it in my beginner's astrology class. It's called an inconjunct, and it's like a lesser version of a square, so it's still a little bit grumpy.
It's a mini square.
It's 150 degrees.
Oh, okay.
And we have Pluto in Aquarius over there going, And we also have Mars in Virgo. So now Pluto is saying, I'm not liking this lack of harmony. I need things to shift. I need things to change, Pluto. And Mars in Virgo is saying, okay, I want this common ground. I want to figure out how best to make this shift. Aries, be impulsive. Do it now.
Do it now.
Virgo, no, analyze the details. Cancer, nurture things at all costs. And Aquarius, well, here's the cold, hard truth. So, how do you put all of those things together?
I think you just head for a blanket fort.
Right. Well, first of all, I'd like to say that I think this new moon is very powerful for you to nurture yourself.
Oh, that's good.
And very powerful for healing, and very powerful for like getting a handle on your emotions. I think the best way to harness the rest of the energy is find the detail, Virgo, of what it is you want to push forward, Mars. Figure out, what really needs to be focused on, and clean and clear, Aquarius, Pluto. And we've said before that if you have this dream, you can harness that Aries energy and that Saturn energy to make the dream a reality. So, the new moon work is to figure out how you feel, figure out what it is you want to push forward, work out the details for that, harness Neptune and Saturn into making that dream or that thing you want to bring into reality a reality. So I'm going to tell a little Pluto story before I go on into the rest of the craziness.
A Pluto story, eh?
All right. So I've told this to a few people, and it really is helpful. Sometimes we do need to be really practical and clear the decks to make room for the things we want to manifest. But sometimes it's really hard to get rid of things we're attached to, or have familiarity with. Like, it's always been that way, so that's the way it is.
It's almost like expectation or emotional attachment to
I've always kept this, so I still have to keep it. Or somebody important that I feel like I want to stay close to gave this to me, so I can't get rid of it even though it's broken and damaged.
And I could never stood it in the first place. But
yeah. So I liken this to taking out this pile of stuff that you don't want into the yard, right? You've got this pile of, used up, messed up, broken crap.
Junk. It's
right?
junk, whichever way you look at it.
Some of the stuff you might have been able to sell or recycle, but here's this pile of absolute junk. So Pluto comes along and says, aha, I can burn that all up for you and make ashes. You can put the ashes in your garden, grow something new. You take a little deep breath and you look at the pile and you think, oh, well, all of that stuff except this quilt that my grandmother made because my grandmother made it, and it really, I'd hate it, and it's ugly.
And moths have eaten half of it.
And now it's all tattered. But I really loved my grandmother, and she worked hard to make this for me, so no, not this. Oh, but I can't even donate this. Nobody's going to want this. But I don't really want it anymore either. It's taking up a lot of space, It's in my closet where I could be organizing things, and I know what I'll do. This piece over here is still intact, and it's really pretty, this piece of quilted fabric. And I can see my grandmother's hand stitches on here. So I'm going to cut this square out and I'm going to frame it. It's only going to take a small piece of the wall. I will still be connected to my grandmother. I'll still be honoring her work. And it's something that I can now look at that brings me joy rather than takes up space that I don't want to have taken up. And that's kind of where we're at energy-wise with this new moon and what it is setting off until the Cancer full moon, which happens in the time of Capricorn, later near the holiday. So these next 6 months are really kind of nurturing ourselves while clearing the decks. Holding on to and figuring out how to make the very best of the things we want to take care of and honor. And figuring out how best to dispose of the things that are in our way, causing us harm, or that we don't want to have an attachment to.
So there's a need for creative problem solving here, is there not?
Absolutely. That Virgo detail, Mars, Virgo energy. That, what do we value? Venus in Taurus. Venus in Taurus, what do we value?
One of the primary things for creative problem solving is actually recognizing what the problem is. And all too often we are, I guess we find ourselves splashing around in that big old river in Egypt, in denial. There is no problem. Yeah, I'm perfectly fine, but everything's a fire, There is no problem. There is a problem, but you can't fix it until you realize this is a problem. And if you document your problem, even if you, enunciate it, speak it out, rather than necessarily write it down, that in and of itself is, you are getting a deeper handle on it. And almost, I would say, more than 50% of problem solving is actually understanding what the problem is. And that's key here.
Right, we might see something on the surface. We might see something on the surface that's come to this harvest, this issue, this is the problem. But what is the root of the problem, and how can we...
Root cause.
How can we change that and plant a different seed, right? But really, these next 6 months between the Cancer new moon and the Cancer full moon all have this kind of wipe the slate clean, start over, hold on to what's important and nurture that, get rid of what's annoying or harming you, and then, try to bring things into that space of stability.
Particularly like how you nurture yourself and your surroundings, your home. I think this is really
Cancer is the
strongly
home, absolutely.
kind of indicated here. So we ourselves move some things around. Curiously enough,
We've been working here and there. Yeah.
Just making things more comfortable for ourselves, and it actually looks lovely, and I'm enjoying it. So there.
All right. Now Venus is in Taurus, and Venus and Uranus are both in Taurus, and they're flanking Al Ghul. So Venus in Taurus is saying, like, what do you value? Kind of like, what do you need? What do you love? And we've known that chaos, panic, and disorder, Uranus, has been in Taurus for quite some time. It's at 29 degrees. When it moves on into Gemini, we're going to see huge upheaval, and it'll still be in what's considered an out-of-sign conjunction at 1 degree Gemini. And then it's going to spend its 7 years in Gemini. So it'll be in Gemini, it'll come back into Taurus, because we know third time's the charm, and then it'll move on into Gemini for good.
Gemini likes to make a fuss, don't they?
I don't know if they like to make a fuss. But
Demonstrative.
They definitely want to
definitely
communicate.
Demonstrative.
So again, we are still in this position of hold the light, hold on to what's right, don't lose your mind, don't lose your head, right? And we're also going to continue to see these crazy solar flares and earthquakes,
seismic
and volcanic eruptions, seismic shift, and maybe even some tectonic plate movement. When I looked before the podcast today, we had 49 earthquakes.
There's 5.7 in the Caribbean earlier today.
Yeah. Most of them are 4.5 or above. We've had 49 earthquakes in the last 24 hours. The 24-hour period prior to that, yesterday, we had 65. We know we still have Kilauea. We know we've seen Etna. We've seen in Indonesia.
Yeah, the Pacific Rim particularly.
Indonesia's the volcano put up a 6-mile plume up in the sky and shut down Australia.
Buggered up their air
the side
traffic
of Australia's
for a while,
air traffic. So there's going to be, as far as globally things happening, a lot of weather events that are very intense. And then I also think we're going to see, because of the solar flares, seismic activity, changes happening with weather patterns. And then I also think that we're going to have some cyber AI internet outages or attacks.
We had an internet outage this morning.
We did. We wondered if we were going to get on today. So there's a lot going on that can create big shifts, right? Because we understand that as above, so below, that this is globally, country-wise, community-wise, family-wise, tribe-wise, personally. So you're going to see a lot of energy that tries to shake you up a little bit. And don't give in to that. Don't give in to the shake you up a little bit. Instead, be like, okay, I'm getting to the root of this. How can I fix it? What can I do to stabilize this? What can I do to bring comfort to this? What can I do to work on the things that I value and scrape out the things that I want to get rid of? How do I make these changes? So that's quite a bit of energy we have to deal with. These next 2 weeks between now and that Uranus shift are going to be the most intense. And when we think back to what we've been talking about for a year, or especially the last 6 months, we're right in the throes of that, could be food shortage, could be cyber war, could be actual war, could be seismic activity, could be. We're in this space in the June-July timeframe that we've been talking about. that no one has seen in lifetimes, right? That configuration that we had during the Revolution, the Civil War, World War II, that's going on. Then there's things that are pointing to pandemic kind of energy and AIDS, and we see that AIDS issues that are happening.
When you kind of do away with US aid.
Yeah, and then we see trade war and actual war, and we definitely are in groundbreaking times that are shifting us forward into the age of Aquarius, right?
True.
So we're into that tick on the clock.
Yeah.
And you can either rise to the occasion or you can fall back on what you know, but you're being pressed to walk the walk right now.
Yeah, changes are coming. The changes are coming. The problem is, the new age struggles to be born, and the old guard is hanging on for grim death.
There's a lot of things in that death throat.
It's existential, isn't it? But we have to change. We have to realise that without civil rights, nobody has civil rights. Without rights for everybody, nobody has them. Without due process for everybody, nobody has due process. And if we are ostensibly, as we claim to be, home of the brave, land of the free, we better start acting like it. We really better. Because we're on a bit of a slippery slope right now. And, unfortunately, you have to apply that, as we were saying earlier. You've got to know what the problem is, and there's so much misinformation being banded around, and it's only getting worse with the sophistication of AI. You just can't believe your eyes anymore. But there's that old journalistic principle, remember it, believe absolutely nothing you hear, and only half of what you see with your own eyes.
Well, yeah, nothing of what you hear now.
It's necessary for you to corroborate things, corroborate things. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Social welfare is benefiting the wealthy, not everybody. Like I personally, call me radical if you will, but I believe healthcare is a basic human right. And that as a civilized society, if indeed we are, we have a duty to look after those who cannot look after themselves. That is our moral duty. The knight never stands so tall except when he kneels to help a child, and that's what true nobility is about. That's what true grace is about. Not what's in it for me, but how can I help you? To be in service to others.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna kind of paraphrase a story in a interview / lecture given recently by Barack Obama.
Aha.
And I think
he was a good man. He is a good man. He's not dead.
This really emphasized kind of where we're at. And he was very careful. He didn't name names.
Very subtle. I know what you're talking about.
But he said something to the effect, right? Like I'm paraphrasing this. He said to the interviewer, who was Heather Cox Richardson, whom I forward her Facebook stuff every day.
He pointed to the little end table
said,
between them.
So there's this little table here. And how the government used to work is that there were people on two sides of this table. And they would come together to have a discussion about how to best work with the table for the American people.
That's kind of the idea.
So the idea is they've been elected, we've been elected, both sides of the table have been elected to work with this table for the good of the American people.
Now, you may not like the way the table looks.
Maybe you
might
don't
think
like the
it'd be better
color
in
of the
colour.
table.
Yeah,
Maybe you don't like
colour.
the height of the table. And we have
shape.
to sit here, though, and we have to decide among us today if we like the square corners or if we want rounded corners. And we have to have a debate about the table for what is best for the American people. The round corners, the square corners, whatever we're going to paint the color of it, whatever's going to work best for the people who elected us, our constituents. He said where we're at now, though, is the other side of the table believes it's a lawnmower.
Yeah. What do you do then?
They either believe that or they're being pressed to make that statement. So
not a table,
how
it's a
on
lawnmower.
earth do you have a table conversation where the other side thinks it's a lawnmower. It's just not gonna come together. And that's kind of where we're at. So we're trying to have table conversations with people who either believe
So
or
far
are
detached
forced
from
to
reality.
say that the table is indeed a lawnmower. So there is some difficulty there with, following rules and norms and understanding how things work. And also at this last couple of weeks, different people have stood up, like Bruce Springsteen, and they've said things like, what happened to the American values, right? Who's seeing people in political power forwarding American views as a whole, right? Like the family structure, and we haven't seen this president and his family having a picnic with the family dog.
There's no joy.
There's no pet.
There's no joy.
No family. There's no structure of
normalcy.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that we're stuck in the 1950s or anything like that, but there is in general a zeitgeist in America where people want to help each other.
Used to.
Right? Somebody would stop and say, "Oh gosh, you have a flat tire.
Let me help you.
I can help you fix it." Or you don't have a cell phone. Let me call somebody for you. Right? But this last decade especially, people have been pushed and pushed and pushed into isolation. I can't stop to help that person. They might be trying to scam me or mug me. If I stop, they'll hit me over the head and take my belongings. There's such a fear and a
polarization,
lack of self-power, right? That people just feel like they can't do anything. But in number, we still can do amazing things. So let's use this new moon energy.
We the people?
To be we the people, to come together and nurture each other and take a stand for what is right. To create a reality that works for everyone. Who's this?
Oh, well, thank you. Oh, well, so far.
Another book clubber. Thank you. Thank you, Savannah. Thank you, Helena.
Yeah, or Angelique.
So let's come together and see what we can do for we the people. I was watching a lecturer named Sachs yesterday, and I did post this as well. I'm not sure if he's any relation to the Sachs,
Goldman Sachs
probably. People. I don't know. But he's an economic advisor to the United Nations. And he was basically saying, we have no idea what the hell has happened to America. But we do have to understand that they are not the majority of the globe's population, right? There are 8 billion people here and only 330 million Americans. So we may end up America in isolation rather than America first.
Well, yeah.
Unless we start to stand up and become part of a global venue again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the thing is we all live on the same tiny little blue planet. We're all dependent upon the air being breathable and the water being drinkable, When you can't breathe, it's kind of a problem. When you can't find clean water, it's a problem, When the food source dries up, it's a problem. And we need to stop thinking about this isolationism. Because actually America first puts America last. It puts America as a pariah, stood by itself going, we're just going to burn everything, we're going to strip mine everything, we're just going to, destroy the entire world for everybody else because that's us, that's what we do. Drill, people, baby, drill,
We the people need to stand up and protest and say for sure that it is not a lawnmower.
It's not, it's a bloody coffee table. Whether you choose tea or coffee, it's still a table. It's not a lawnmower, I don't know. I mean, the thing is, I think, we need to get back to our incredible, beautiful melting pot principles of this country. I mean, this has been, everybody who's not First Nations, everybody in this country who's not First Nations, then you're an immigrant too. You're descended from immigrants. This is a nation of immigrants. We need to bin the xenophobia,
Yeah, the us and them is not going to work.
No.
We need to come back to that, to the values and morals and ethics and core of America. There are more people here in the United States from everywhere come together that really want the good of all, not just the good of the billionaires.
Yeah. But it's the billionaires who control the flow of information. They own the newspapers. They own the TV stations.
That bought J.D. Vance. His stuff is really...
Yeah, and Rupert Murdoch, who now is basically handing it off because he's old and bloody senile now at this point to his family. But do not underestimate that News Corp owns everything. And not just, Fox, yeah. They also own your local newspaper, believe it or not. And all of the stuff that is spewed out on broadcast television is generally syndicated and comes from a source. So start asking, where does your news come from, And I would urge you to try and find other viewpoints. It's worthwhile seeing other people's viewpoints. Now, that's not to say that those viewpoints aren't themselves inherently biased one way or the other. But if you want truly neutral news, go to purely a news source which has no political slant. Somebody like Reuters, for example. There's not
much of that left.
No, Reuters. Reuters just tells the news. They tell it how it is. They don't spin anything whatsoever. So go get your news from there, and don't just stop at one source, and certainly do not get your news from social media. Okay, it's like social media is becoming about as useful for unbiased information as spam.
That's the other thing that President Obama said in this interview. He said, we have lost our collective. We've lost our group mind in a sense, right? Because we used to all watch programs when they were broadcast,
News
right?
at 10 or whatever.
Here's the evening news with Walter Cronkite, and everybody watched that pretty much. Or maybe they watched an affiliate, but there was only like 2 or 3 choices, right? So most people watched Walter Cronkite. And you watched him, and he told factual information about what was going on. And then you formed your opinion personally about what you thought about that. Here's what he said. Here's what I like and believe in about that. Here's what I disagree with or don't like about that. And we had to work with the information that was factual. But now, he said, we've splintered, we've fragmented, right? People are watching all kinds of different things. There's no group mind. They get these splintered off lies and spins, and or they're just being like the zombie apocalypse, binge watching some crazy whatever, and there's no collective. And I think that's another thing, we the people, we need to start a collective energy, right? A movement. I'm not saying it has to be a revolution, but in a way it does. We have to change things, but that Pluto energy wants to revolutionize things. But until we gain a group mind, it's going to be really hard to gain momentum. So power to the people, peace on earth, hold the light. I'm first for Logan.
And thank you, Donna, you should put Donna on the list as well, because she's just appeared with a super chat. So thank you.
Logan. Rainbows are good things, Logan.
You're way over it, mate.
I think this is saying, look, 10 is really 1. But 10 is saying, this is what I've established, and now I'm going to begin again. So really take heed with this new moon and figure out where you want to go. and how you want to move forward, and then work with the people who will help you celebrate that, not with the people who want to tear down that, right? So new beginnings, you can renew something you've been working on and move forward.
Agreed. Absolutely. And who do I got? 5 more super chaps, peeps. That's all we need to...
You have Gilda.
Hello, Gilda. Hope you're doing well. Let's have a look here. 5s are a bit of a struggle. This card, in isolation is a difficult read because it for me, this card can be either good or bad. But it does depend on what it comes up with. I mean, on the face of it, it appears that these people have, capitulated and they've dropped their swords. They've lost the fight out of them.
The truth will come out.
Whether this person is going around using that opportunity to enrich themselves out of other people's grief and basically increase his sword collection, or whether this person is actually going, okay, let's pick everything up, tidy up, dust everybody down and put them back on their feet again, because there are 2 distinct reads for this. But I think what's jumping out is that this kind of hard demarcation line, this quayside that we have between the people here and nature there, is sometimes I think we try to fight nature itself, and that's futile because you cannot win an earthquake, So I think for you, what's necessary is, you can only have a conflict if people actually get involved in that conflict, and if you find yourself in a potentially hostile, for want of a better word, situation. It's not that you're retreating, but I think you need to just go find a bit of inner peace and extract yourself into nature for a while. I want to say go to church. Do you know what I mean? Because that is your church. That's your church, yeah. That is your place where you can, woosah and reconnect with what is truly important, rather than having your energy pulled away from you by those that would choose to get in your face or whatever. So I think there's quite a complex message here for you, but my advice would be spend more time in nature and choose not to get involved in a fight right now. That would be my take on it.
Yoff.
Hello, Yoff. Yoff, the fashion icon. We love it.
Pay attention to messages.
Massages.
There is information coming in that will help you to propel yourself forward and take the steps you want to take. When you look at this card next to the death card, the horses are very similar.
They are.
So there is an energy of getting this news, getting this information, and using it to make the transformation. So I'm going to say be on alert, but not in a bad way, right? Just try really to be the filter that hears things clearly and gets the messages without static. All right.
You have to
you have
operate
Sean.
your squelch a little bit, so to speak. Oh. Do I need to say anything? Oh, by the way, you should be aware there are pictures of your distended nuts going all over Facebook at the moment. Them acorns, mate. Just saying.
Oh dear.
Just saying. Swollen acorns. I still can't get over. It was hilarious. It's if you know moment. But we had this oh well, thank you so much for the super chat. Sure.
Oh, we're halfway there.
We're halfway there. I love it. Yeah, living on a prayer, so to speak. So
there's some sort of wisdom coming and enlightenment coming from this new moon. This is also like a Virgo energy. So pay attention to what it is you want to propel forward.
And I also think this is hold the light up for others as well. As you learn, so shall you teach. There's like, that responsibility to help others in there. And I think you're well accustomed to that. So that's just wonderful. So thank you.
Sean and his wood, yeah.
Stop it now.
All right, Nicole.
And blow the damn spare up. Just saying.
Nicole. Ooh.
Come on, we're halfway there, folks. We can do.
All right, Nicole. Acting in blind anger never helps a situation. But pushing forward with educated energy can certainly forge a path. So I think that things have been building and building and building, and now you're really going to break free, push forward. Mars in Virgo is all over this, right? And I'm not saying drag up the past, but I'm saying you can give great detail about what has gotten you to this point. And you can use those details to cut your way forward.
Cut through the crap, eh?
Savannah.
Charge. Hello, Savannah. Oh, hey. I don't know. Mixed signals sometime. Come here. No, go away. I've got this big sword. I'll run you through, you bugger, if you come any closer. It's kind of sometimes can be a little difficult. I understand, the need for boundaries. I completely do. But do watch if you're not giving off mixed signals, because they're difficult for others to read. And I know when you find yourself in a place where you've discovered somebody may not have been, how should we say, entirely accurate in their retelling of a situation, or entirely accurate in their, I don't want to say necessarily economical with the truth, but they may have innocently have omitted something, and maybe you're feeling that they purposefully occluded the situation. So I think that's what's going here, and maybe it's necessary just to ask a few more questions to put your mind at rest, because I feel you're sort of most like on tenterhooks, and there's some trust issues at the moment. But
you may not have all the information needed to.
I think you might be making an assumption on the information you've received, and it's not the whole picture. So I think want to dig a tiny little bit deeper there, and don't necessarily run them through. Don't kill the messenger, all right?
Right. I mean, again, when we look at the astrology, there's all this stuff happening with Sun, Moon, Jupiter, squaring Saturn, Neptune, but we're losing track of that Mars in Virgo. Mars spent so much time in Cancer, and then it sped on through Leo, and now it's in Virgo. And if we're going to be angry or we're going to push something, we need to have the details.
You do. You do. Because
right.
it may well be you're pushing against the wrong thing, or you're trying to open the wrong lock with the wrong key, kind of thing,
Peggy. Peggy.
Yeah.
The search is on. The search is on. Right? What you are seeking to finish a project, you have to go get. And I think you have to go get it yourself. I don't think anybody's going to deliver it to you.
Ain't that the truth?
Oh, all right, Jess in there too.
Hello, Jess. How you doing?
All right. So, time to take that sun moon energy, figure out what it is you want, and go get the missing piece. Go figure it out. Do not expect it to be delivered.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Unless, of course, it's pizza. The missing pizza.
The missing pizza. Susan.
The missing pizza. Susan. Oh. Sometimes we need to change our perspective. This is one of these things. Again, I don't know. I just feel that there's a need. If we had to have the, what is the oversoul for the readings of everything today, I think it's take a closer look. Look at it.
To detail.
Pay attention to detail. Make sure that you have all of the information. And sometimes where we're standing is preventing us from seeing all the information. I will ever so politely remind you of the wonderful book by Robert Heinlein, The Stranger in a Strange Land, where they have these characters known as fair witness. And a fair witness, if you ask them, what colour is that house? They would say, well, the two sides I can see are painted whatever. because they make no assumption about what is on the other side of the house, because they haven't seen it. They can't bear fair witness. It would be a guess, pure supposition.
That is a great analogy about where we are.
Pure supposition. So it is necessary to change your perspective to be able to see past what occludes your view. And in this instance, we hung ourselves upside down. We turned everything on its head. Well, we turned ourselves on our head so we can see everything in a different perspective. But by doing so, he receives the enlightenment that he does. And notice that he's also in the glyph of Jupiter, which is strongly indicated, because we've almost got the sun around his head in the glyph of Jupiter, and then we've got the moon, which is maybe does occlude our perspective some way, or changes our viewpoint there. So this is very apropos for the
Apropos?
Yes, or whatever, apropos, even if I can even say it.
Apropos?
Apropos, okay, it's emphasis. I can't even speak today.
Apropos.
Apropos. It's very apropos for the astrological goings on at the moment. So are you seeing the full picture, Susan? Maybe you need to alter your perspective a little bit, but by doing so will bring you great enlightenment and expand your mind. Dun, dun, dun!
All right.
Is that everybody?
This is for my birthday twin. Oh, no, we got a ways to go.
Your birthday twin? Who's that?
Angeline, Helene.
Oh, the multi-named individual.
My
the multifaceted
birthday twin.
individual. Oh,
Magick.
hello. That'll do you.
Magick. All right. So here we have the alchemist. And he wants to take on as above, so below. He says, okay, this is what's going on up there. And this is how it affects me down here. But in order to use it, I need to understand it. So here come this message, this information, these things from above. I want to make the best use of it possible with these tools that I have to work with. So I think this new moon for you is not just figuring out what you want to accomplish, but figuring out how to use what's being offered and make that alchemy happen. So you can be the magic you want to see. You just have to figure out how to use what's being offered. What ingredients do you have? And how are you going to make that into what you want?
So there you have it.
Laura of the North.
Laura of the North. Hey guys, listen, we're well short of our goal.
Well, not everybody's here that usually
Well,
is
no,
here.
that's true, because we're doing it on a bleeding Wednesday.
But
We're
it's
doing it
been
on
an interesting week.
Tell me about it.
All right, this is Laura of the North.
Laura, you are not a passenger in your life. Okay? This is necessary to wrest back the sword of control. Now, just because you have the sword of control doesn't mean you have to cut anybody up with it, run them through, or slice their heads off, okay? Just simply having that sword it gives you that assurance you need to speak softly and carry a big stick, if you will, you know, but in this instance, speak softly and carry a bloody great big sword of authority. This also, if you look at the crown there, that you know, the crown is atop the sword, which indicates that sort of authority here, or with supreme authority over the situation. So it really is like, and those 6 yod that we see there, that's kind of interesting too. And the fact that we have an olive branch and a great big chunk of seaweed, a bit of giant kelp or whatever. It's like there's a very elemental feel to this too. So I'm feeling that this is almost a bit like sort of on a par with the magician card a little bit, you know, because this is one of the magician's tools, you know. But you have to think about, and I'm going to say in this instance, even though this is directly against what is the classical understanding of the tarot, because Arthur Edward Waite portrayed these as being, you know, the element of air. But for me, swords are fire, because if you think about it, sword is forged in fire, and it very much is an instrument of asserting your will here. And will is not really necessarily, you know, air, is it? You know, although they say to will to dare, you know, so perhaps it's more to know, to will, to dare, get it. So this is definitely fire for me. So yeah, assert your willpower, and let them know who's boss. But you don't have to do it in a very aggressive way, but you do have to say, this is it, you know, this is my line, this is, and you must be aware, you must be cognizant of that, yeah? But it's a good card. It's a good card.
All right, I have Donna.
Oh, yeah, Donna. Come on, guys, we just need 5 more super chats.
Donna.
You can do it in your heart. I know you can find it in your heart.
Donna, sometimes we do know what we want, and we do know where we want to go, but we can't figure out how to get things moving.
Can't get there from here.
And that's one of the things I was talking about with the astrology, saying that, here's my dream, and here's how I want to express myself, and where I want to grow to. And then Saturn says, well, there's a pattern. You're in this pattern. You're stuck in the pattern. That's how it is. So I think the message for you in this card isn't now necessarily figuring out what it is that would make you comfortable. I think for you, it's figuring out how to move forward into the space that would make you comfortable. So you got to work some things out and figure out how to kick this horse and get him moving. All right, you have Jess.
Hello, Jess. Says it all. Says it all. I love this card. Actually, I bloody love this card. I see there's a strong personal association with Lisa and I in this card, although this is inherently the Leo card, the strength card, number 8 in the major arcana. But notice the word is strength, and she has this Mobius loop, this lemniscate above her head, and she is, strong, but not strong like bull. Strong like bull, she'd be toast, she'd be lunch, the lion would have ate her up, But the lion is completely putty in her hands, his tail's between his legs, he's on, give me some more fuzz under the chin, go on, fuzz me some more, fuzz me some more, I love it. But if you look closely at her hands, she's also doing the as above, so below thing with the lion there. So there's a true magic here that love is singularly the most powerful force in the entire universe. And it's the only force capable of turning an enemy into a friend. It's the only force capable of bringing healing to a situation. And as somebody who is a born healer, I think you do what you do from a place of truly unconditional love, and more power to your elbow for it, because that is your strength, and it's a wonderful thing. And may you receive true abundance from pursuing your love, and I wish you every success in the world, and I think you deserve it. So there.
All right,
peeps.
So be the light.
We got 6 now,
Thank you,
but we've
Jess.
only 3 minutes and 37 seconds to get the other 4. Can we do it? Can we do it? I don't know.
All right, be the light, hold the light, focus on the light, get things sorted out. We really only have a small bit of time to really get things sorted out. And things are definitely shifting. And it doesn't mean they're shifting into a position of being worse. But anytime there is a huge change, it can feel very disruptive and scary. And there are big changes ahead of us. So hold the light and start to work on the things that you want to see changed.
Thank you, Sean, for the super chat. There's 3 to go. 3 to go in 2.5 minutes. Can it be done? Can it be done?
I don't know.
We see you sit on the edge of your seat and quiver with anticipation. I lit my peace candle to enjoy while listening to and good move.
Yes.
Peace would be a good thing right now.
Yes, it would.
But peace is that wonderful thing.
We gotta have.
Can we get half a book club? What do you mean half a book? Right?
I'll read for half an hour instead of an hour. This is card of the week.
Let's do card of the week.
Card of the week. What do you want to build? And build it. Right? So sometimes we need cooperation. We need the idea. We need a plan. And we need a way to execute the plan. Right? So, because an idea with no plan is never going to come to fruition, right? So, an idea and a plan on how to execute the idea. What is it we want to grow?
It is. I love this card. Again, yeah, just like the
Love
strength
is the
card.
law.
It is, you know. Oh, thank you, Yoff.
Ooh, close.
We're getting awful close. I can't see how many we need. 2, I think. Just 2 more and we'll get there. Thank you, Yoff. So yeah, this as Lisa says, idea, plan, action, because an idea... One more! Come on, people, we can do it. We just got 1 more to go. Thank you, Jess. You guys are just bloody awesome. You're just awesome. So yeah... individually, each one of these people can achieve bugger all. Nothing. They can't do a damn thing by themselves.
Right. The guy doesn't know what to build without a plan.
Without the architect, he's got no idea. But the architect's plan would be nothing without the guy who's going to execute it.
Who said, "Here's my design that I want."
Yeah. So together, those 3 key things that fit together. These are the magic. This is the magic. And this is so key when we're talking about what's going on astrologically. Just 1 more super chat, peeps. You can do it. So what we're talking about astrologically, I think
we got book club. Just did another one.
Well, we should have had to have made our goal. Why is it saying 27 seconds? Is this thing not counting right? Because that... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That has to. We'll do it anyway.
That has to do it.
We have to do it. We'll do it anyway.
No, that's 10. That
I
has
make
to be
it 10. I thought it made it 10. So.
That's 11. So that's for sure.
Oh, maybe everybody's just trying to. Maybe it's trying to extort people now.
I don't know.
I don't know, but you guys are fantastic. We're going to bloody do it.
We do really appreciate it as well, because it really starts to get YouTube to notice us.
It does. That can't be right. Look at that. It says 5 out of 10. There's something gone wrong with the counter there.
Oh, we know that it's...
We know.
We absolutely have 10, so maybe 11 right now. So
I'd suggest we have 11 super chats. So thank you so much.
We're well over it. We'll be talking about the Sea Priestess.
Yeah. Mine says only 5. Ours says only 5. I don't know why, but
we
I
know
can
that's
count
not
them.
true.
So whatever. Thank you, people. We're going to do it because we think they're on drugs and they don't know what they're doing. Okay, so now it's 12 then.
Evil countdown timer, rude.
Rude is right.
We absolutely have 10 or 12 at this point.
We're gonna do it. So Sodom.
So we'll see you tonight at 8.
Despite whatever they think, I don't know. Honestly, I think sometimes the thing is nuts. I can't even find the count now. No, it's gone. It's all right, but it doesn't matter. It's all fine.
We're good.
And
we know we're good.
We know we're good. I think for whatever reason, something's nuts. Maybe I need to refresh something or whatever. Who cares?
All right. So
you guys are good.
Listen, of it, be it, do it, make it happen. Stay positive. Love is the law.
Understand what you're dealing with. That's the first thing. Understand what you're dealing with, which is why, what am I doing? I want to build an edifice here, something kind of cool. And then you have to have a plan to bring that about. And then you have to execute that plan. And if you bring them all together they work, in combination. So that's it. And we'll see you.
Hold the light, people. Love is the law. Happy new moon.
Isn't it? Yes.
Do some really good new moon work.
It's a great moon for some magic. It really
Sunday night will be our new moon ritual in the academy.
Somewhere, Savannah wanted you to tell us about the peace rocks. She said somewhere, and I didn't get a chance to speak because you were speaking, I was speaking. And
we got some beautiful, real, natural turquoise.
It's gorgeous, actually.
It's very, very hard to get, but it was in a box full of all kinds of things. So there were about 30 of these real turquoise beads. They're big, around the size of a nickel around. So we made a pentacle and a peace sign on our crickety thing. And we empowered them for peace on earth, because turquoise really represents the earth. And then we wrote a little peace on earth incantation or prayer, or whatever you want to call it. So peace on earth, we have these little amulets that you could have, and then you'd pay more than what we're asking for that piece of turquoise nowadays anyway. But
if you can get any.
But we really wanted people to come together and start praying for peace on earth. These are crazy, crazy times.
Aren't they just? And peace is easy to achieve if only we'll.
If only we
If
would stop
only
us
we'll-
and them.
Us and them, and somebody else is the problem. Just because somebody worships their god in a different way, just because somebody has a different idea about how resources should be allocated within a country, doesn't make them a bloody enemy. And
It's a table. You cannot
It's
have table conversations with
somebody
someone
who thinks
it's a lawnmower. Anyway.
That's why the turquoise, because communication of these things is particularly important. And I know Lisa, she's been sitting down and she's also been making, if you haven't got one of these, you should get one. Because she's actually quite artistic. A lot of people don't realise that. She painted some beautiful peace rocks. Now, these are just like river stones.
I'm more autistic than artistic,
Oh,
to be
shut up.
honest.
Stop
but anyway,
the self-deprecation.
we
They
have
say
to go.
Chodok on them for peace and all that sort of
Yeah.
stuff. So
Love,
anyway,
peace,
we
joy,
will
happy
see you
business.
at
We'll see
8
you
o'clock
later.
this evening to do book club for the Sea Priestess.
Off
And
to the races.
off to the races we go, because we've a ton of things we need to get done. So thank you for taking the time of joining us. We love you guys. Have a beautiful day. We'll see you later. Bye for now.